Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in the Last Enforcer, Charles Oakley. Charles, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be on it. We got to sell this book now. Let's go.
100%. So what made you want to write this?
Well, over the years, doing press, doing podcasts, interviews, talking to people, saying they like my conversation, my story. I'm getting older. I just feel like I want people to hear me out about my growing up, going through life, my consistency with life, and it's all in this book.
100%. And I was telling you right beforehand, I'm super dyslexic, and I honestly hate reading. I'm an audiobook guy, but
Right.
I was able to read this in one sitting, cover to cover. And I'm also a Knicks fan. So, and I wasn't around in the 90s. So to get a little bit of that, inside scoop on
Yes.
those years was definitely cool. In addition to the fact that I can't think of anybody else that has the relationships that you do with the greatest basketball players, plural, of all time, going back before MJ to LeBron. That angle of it and your perspective is what also kept me locked in a way that nobody else can really speak to.
So I think one of the most key stories in my life, but a lot of the stuff in the book is key too. But when Moses Malone came up to my university, Virginia Union, he was from Petersburg, and asked me, "Where's this kid Charles Oakley?" I mean, a guy, Hall of Famer, one of the best centers ever played the game, to come and ask where's Charles Oakley. I mean, I was just, hey, I didn't know what to do, what to say, but I was like, wow, Moses Malone asked about me. So basically, I had some of his skill, like rebounding, this and that. That Moses Malone probably the best rebounder ever. I was a rebounder, so I could see why he wanted to know where I was at, because I was averaging just as many rebounds was points in Virginia Union. So shout out to Moses Malone, rest in peace. But in this book, you hear a lot about people I've been, walk of life, not just basketball, football, baseball, celebrities, just people in, all over. We bonded easy. It was like the 80s and 90s. I think everybody said they want to know about the 80s and 90s, but in this book, we'll tell you a lot about the 80s and 90s.
You averaged 24 and 17 going 31-0 in a year of college. And then you were still wondering, where you were going to get drafted, which is crazy to me, because if I were you, I mean, I know you were a confident guy back then, but if I had just put up 24 and 17, there wouldn't be a worry in my mind. What was your mentality going into the draft after putting up 24 and 17?
So in this book, I went to a historic Black college, and you didn't hear about too many guys coming out. Earl Monroe, Rick Mahorn, a few other guys, Willis Reed went to a historic Black college. But anyway, going to that, numbers, it didn't register to like some big D1 school. I could have averaged 30 and 20. I still been worried about, because they said I was going to go fourth round, third round. I ain't going to the top 10, thanks to my man, Jerry Krause, rest in peace, in the Bulls organization. But I was doing my thing, but I didn't know it was going to get me what it got me. But I mean, they say you never know what happened in life. Just work hard and be consistent.
100%. No, that's for sure. I heard in the book, I read that Kareem also came to campus and would be asking for you while he was, hanging out with people. Did you ever talk to him back then?
I don't remember Kareem. I know Moses Malone. I might get that mixed up, but playing against Kareem in the league, I mean, he was just a special. Nobody else could duplicate the sky hook. It was only one guy. You can be like Mike, you can be like Magic, but nobody was like Kareem, and nobody even tried. So I give that, Kareem was probably the best center of all time in our era. Towards the end, him and Shaq, Moses Malone, them type of guys, Akeem.
For sure. Now, while we're on the topic of Virginia Union, Ben Wallace, Did
Yes.
you see the potential in him right out of the gate, or was that something that was proven to you over time?
So in my book, I talk about Ben Wallace came to a camp in Alabama. He's from Alabama. And my sister, my aunt, was telling me come back, do something for the kids in the summertime. A lot of kids, parents, low income families, they, really can, do on that too much on their own. So I decided to do a camp. My cousin doing it now. So we've been doing this camp over 30-some years together. And Ben Wallace came to the camp and we accepted him in. He came that Tuesday. Registration was Monday. Came in and he looked good. And I was talking to him. He said, asked him what school he was going to. He said he had offers from LSU, for some SEC school, Alabama. And I said, well, I got my partner from Cleveland. He's assistant coach in Tri-C in Cleveland. And make a long story short, he ended up going to Tri-C in Cleveland, transferring to Virginia Union. And after that, he didn't get drafted with a free agent, went to Boston, Orlando, next thing you know, in Detroit, and ended up in Chicago, Cleveland. But he had a great career. A championship, 4 defensive players of the year. He just got inducted to the Hall of Fame. So I can say I recruited one guy my whole career going to Virginia Union, and that was him. He was the only guy I was like said, go here. Out of all the guys I've been around, because I see he had some work habit like I had. Some guys good, but I didn't go with guys good and played around. I went with guys who work at their craft, work hard. I know gonna be disciplined, no trouble.
That gives you a fantastic track record of recruiting.
1 for 1.
Now, when you were drafted to Chicago, how much did you know about Michael Jordan? Because he was, but what did you think when you were drafted?
No, basically my college coach knew his college coach, Dean Smith. They was real, because they did tournaments together. I didn't know nothing about him. I heard a lot about him on the news, but never seen him play a lot. But when I got there, I know he had done the year before. He was great, the best rookie since sliced cheese, and made the All-Star team, this and that. And then my rookie year, he took me to the All-Star game in Dallas. And, we just bonded. We just, to this day, we still, you can tell by that, by the forward of the book.
Totally. Is that something that you asked him to write?
Yeah, so I called him. And I was talking to him about something else and this and that. And I said, you going to do the forward of my book? He said, sure. He said, when you need it. I said, about 3 or 4 days. And they kind of know.
You gave Michael a 3-day deadline?
Yes.
Wow, that speaks to you guys' relationship. That's awesome. It was good too.
I just want him to get it over. If you think long, he might change his mind, but no.
No, I totally read it in his voice as well, as I read the entire book in your voice, which is pretty cool. Do you think, so obviously Krause drafted you.
Right.
Do you think he is one of the more overhated people in NBA history and the Bulls organization, especially after all the documentary stuff?
So in the book, I really talk about Jerry, how he really made me who I am into this world today. I gave him a lot of credit for drafting me and trading me, bringing me back, and believing in me. I don't think that for hate. I think people ain't gonna hate Jerry. It's just the noise for the last 3 or 4 years. What people saying, because you got to realize that somebody had to put that team together.
Yeah.
And somebody had to know what pieces go good together. Even though Dennis Rodman was crazy and wild, but he was a piece. Somebody get 18 rebounds a night. It's hard. It's like, AB. He got talent. That's why the team keep picking him up. And that ain't the first thing he did something crazy, take his jersey off and walk off the field. He recorded coach in the locker room. So guys crazy. They put up with it to a point. Right. So AD, Dennis Rodman was crazy too, in a way, because he did a lot of crazy stuff on the floor, off the floor. But for games, he played well. I give him credit. But but Jerry did a lot. For people hate, I don't get. I can't take it in who hate him, who don't hate him. But I got Jerry back, so I don't get caught up in that.
That's great. Yeah, I mean,
If you read the book, you see Jerry's
of
my guy.
course. Yeah, yeah,
So
100%. 100%. You know, there are so many decisions that he made that weren't obvious, like the Scottie Pippen draft pick and the trade, right?
right, that's what I
There,
said. He put pieces together. I mean, somebody else could have been GM, probably would have been scared to make moves. I mean, I know and the guys want to get paid, but they signed the contracts. Michael signed a 7-year contract. Scottie signed a 7-year. I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf won tandem contracts. Some teams did, but he didn't. So, and everybody, Jerry get the blame for them guys not, for Jerry Reinsdorf not, we make, tandem contract and give him a new contract. So, I mean, Jerry was a little man on the totem pole, but he did a lot to make them win games, I think.
now, when you first got to Chicago, you said this, and I quote from the book: "Talk is cheap and actions speak louder than words. I'm the real deal." How did you have that kind of confidence as a rookie?
Well, basically, being around my grandfather, instilling hard work, effort, stay within yourself. I knew that I understood basketball IQ-wise. My college coach, Dave Robinson, was a great coach, and I know what he had taught me was a fundamental. When you fundamental sound, you can travel. Now, who you playing with, now you show them you got force, and you're going to work. You keep doing all that,
Right.
then you show them you're smart. You dedicated. That's what drove me.
Was there a moment in those first few seasons where, I know there's the famous Bulls game against the Celtics where Larry Bird said that Michael Jordan was like God. Was there a moment for you where you thought, oh, this guy is more than just the best player on our team or more than just the best player in the NBA? Did you have that moment?
In the book, I talk a lot about when he took me to the All-Star game on the court. It was just, I know he did the 63 in the playoff, but, he was hurt early in the season. But it's just his swagger. He had the it factor. Some guys don't have it. He had the it factor, and it's shown. Like Joe Burrow, he got the it factor. Tom Brady had the it factor. Some quarterback just good. And if you go to Aaron Rodgers, I don't think he got the it factor. He's serious about the game, but something about him. And same thing what happened to Aaron Rodgers happened to me with Patrick Ewing in New York. Seems like he keeps saying he need more help. You do your job. Let management decide what needs to be put another player on the team with this and that. So I think this year he just did too much talking. He talked himself away from maybe winning a championship and just staying disciplined like everybody else on the team, just come out and play hard.
And as you mentioned in the book, MJ was super quiet those first few years when he was gaining his ground, when you guys were playing together. And that I think media often portrays it being a very joking atmosphere, like you mentioned in the book. How serious was it and playing in those early years, in your eyes?
Early years, it was a lot of physicality, a lot of, you had to be on your game at all times. Because back then, guys could play. It wasn't nobody, you get hurt, you get your job back. Most times you got hurt back then, you didn't get your job back. You had to prove yourself. It was just it was like a warfare. I mean, MJ came in the league. I mean, guys was maybe jealous of him. He had to prove himself. You can go back to when the All-Star game, they tried to freeze him out. So he had some curls. I mean, some turns in the road to make for himself. To find out that it ain't never easy. People always, aiming at you. So it took him 3 or 4 years to get his legs to really find out about what NBA was all about. And when he did, that's when they took off and won the rings.
For sure. Now, you were traded to New York while at a Mike Tyson fight. And this is reading the book, the thing that I just kept seeing over and over again was you just surrounded yourself with the greatest athletes of all time. And I don't know how you did it because it was across every sport. Tyson, NFL MVPs, LeBron, Jordan. I mean, obviously there are reasons for every single one. But it's incredible to read.
There time. I mean, so my thing, it was like that back in '89 because you end up in the same place with a lot of celebrities. And being around Michael early, people flopping around him. So I get to meet him through him, meet the president through him. And I mean, just like it was, Oprah was in Chicago when he was there. I come to New York, the Jeters, the CC Sebastian. I mean, it was just, they was there. And I went to baseball game, and we went to baseball games summertime when the Cubs were playing, I think, Atlanta in the playoffs. And we went to Atlanta with the Cubs, so MJ likes sports. So if he was off season and it was one of the Black Hawks or the Cubs or the White Sox, somehow he just go to the game, get a group of guys. And like when North Carolina played Michigan State in the final up in Forest Field in Detroit, we went up there, had a suite. Even though it was Carolina, he went to Carolina. But I'm just saying that he do go to football game. He like to have fun. I mean, he like to smoke cigars, play golf, but he do like go to fight. We used to go to Kentucky Derby. I should have put this in the book. So we used to go to Kentucky Derby on like a Tuesday, play golf through, Friday, Saturday, because the big race Saturday, right? Go to the race, come back, got a private plane, go see Mike Tyson. I was fighting that night on April the 4th, that weekend. No, May the 4th, that first weekend of May. It was always a big fight in Vegas. So we would go to the Derby and get a plane, change clothes on the plane in the air, and go to the fight.
Hey man, living life to the fullest, no doubt.
We had fun though. I mean, you and MJ, private plane everywhere you go, and it's the next book. You think story? Wait till the next book comes, because these just some story to get you engaged and let you know. I have fireworks. It's like fireworks. I do have fireworks in my book.
The thing that audibly made me laugh out loud while reading the book is you cooked dinner for MJ, Oprah, and Donald Trump in the same night. Nobody else can say that.
Well, it was Cookie was there, Denzel White was there, Samuel White was there, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Bob Jones, Ray Lewis. It was it was at least 50, 60 celebrities there. And they all flew in town, private plane, and late on that night started snowing. But Trump was the only one who got out of there. Some kind of way. Out of 12 private planes, he only went airlift and went on to Florida. And everybody else had to stay there for 2 days to the store. It was like 20 inches altogether.
That's crazy. Something about that doesn't sound safe, but I guess he made it out.
Well, Trump made the phone call. So in the book, I said he made the call to that guy in Russia. So he got the connection.
I guess so. Yeah, those years sounded wild, because there was one point where when you were all on the Wizard, when you and MJ were on the Wizards again, the second time, you, MJ, and Patrick Ewing were all living in the Ritz in DC.
Right. Yep.
Did you guys all hang out together? I know it was more you and MJ.
See, in the
Patrick
book,
didn't.
I talk about Patrick was coaching then. We was players, so a coach really don't want to hang with the players. But we let him go to dinner with us about 20 or 30 times. All of a sudden, he want to go eat with us now, and he's a coach. Sometimes they don't look good to other players, but we did hang out, on the road, but not at home too much. Me and Michael always hung out. We was like, if we didn't have practice, we watching TV or just hanging out. I stayed in the South, he stayed in the North, Patrick stayed in the North. So basically just walk across the tunnel, I'm there.
That's so funny. Did it feel like you were in college again, but just a very expensive, fancy college?
It did have that type of feeling, because my college was only like 90 miles away. And I seen a lot of my friends who went to school with me, because it was from Washington and Baltimore. So it did feel like right down the street from Georgetown, George Washington. So Maryland was more in Prince County, but it had the atmosphere, because you was running into so many people, like, I went here, I went there, so it did have a lot of atmosphere of college.
That sounds like a lot of fun. One thing I wanted to ask you about for sure was when the Space Jam filming was happening. Right. There were all these games, and since you were both in the movie, friends with MJ, and a great player, you were in all of them. What were those games like, and are those the greatest pickup games you've ever been a part of?
We was in a bubble, like they did in Orlando with the NBA, but it was no virus or nothing. But it was at least 2,000 or 3,000 people every day we played, watching on the side. Like if you lose, it's like 4 teams, so you had to wait. So it was just like, you thought it was a game, because LA, front row in New York is just celebrity row. It was like that moment. So it was so intense in there, and people was like, and they was in awe, like all these celebrities in here, and all these high skilled basketball players, and they, like regular season like 2 months away, and they in here just playing like it's regular season now. It was something incredible. They should have put that in the Space Jam.
Honestly, I feel like maybe more people would have watched that.
Oh, it was a special. If basically reality went out then, so basically, but it was like wow to see people because MJ, he was like a magnet. When MJ around, people they want to be around. They want to be in this, in the room or wherever he at because, Magic. I mean, all them type of guys when they're in a place that people can, come to and just be there. They want to be there.
Yeah, in the book you said tons of celebrities were there too, which I didn't know. I thought it was just kept to players. So that
no, it was celebrities. Yes, big time.
That's pretty cool. Who was the MVP of all those games?
It was different teams. I know one day that MJ couldn't get a win, and I think only time he got a win when I played against him. My thing when I played pickup, I talk about this. I play pickup the same way I play. Ain't no layups. Especially in pickup. Now you can't punk out. You can't just call out and 2,000 or 3,000 people watching you. You got the man to either shoot your jumper. You definitely ain't going to the hole. So it was one of them type things that you ain't gonna get no chippy call. Like no, you ain't gonna get that.
Yeah, you said in the book that maybe 20% of guys in the NBA today could play with the physicality and toughness of when you played. What makes you give that low of an estimate?
That's high, really. It's just it could be lower. It's just what I see. I have vision. I mean, it's 30 teams, and basically, I'm saying maybe some team don't have none. Some team might have two. That's what I'm saying. But it's just what I see. What I see and how they play is different structure. Yeah, I give them that. But you still got to play the game. You still got to turnovers, free throws, your field goal percentage. So everything, analytics is a big thing in basketball. So if analytics said, take these guys from right now and put them back in a 1990 game, how many will survive? If they got the stats, they can come up with a stat. So I think I'm being real nice saying 20%.
Do you think that is to credit from the three-pointer and spreading the court out?
I mean, Golden State started it, with Clay and Steph. I mean, it's a copycat league, so everybody feels like in high pick and roll, but they play a motion offense. Everybody else just play a stand around offense. It's a different. That's why they get somebody to cut to the basket, catch guys sleeping back door. They go back door a lot. Guys don't want to check people moving. If I'm other teams in the league, they just high pick and roll, stand there. So if I was playing this age, I would really tell my coach, we need to play more zone because they're going to come right to you. They ain't driving, they shooting three, so we play, a 2-3 or 1-2-2. But I think it's a different ball game. It's a totally different ball game. The only thing the same is the court size and the rim. They got 3 officials now. I mean, they got instant replay. They got, second shot. You get 14 seconds on the second shot. I mean, basketball is basketball. If you get offensive rebound, they said what? Reset the shot clock, get 24 seconds. So they trying to speed the game up to get points, but sometimes it seems like no matter what you do to change stuff, if you ain't got the type of player, it ain't gonna work.
Right, for sure. Speaking of, Golden State and Steph Curry, you played with his father, Del Curry. Steph was around the team. He was like 10, 11 years old.
Right.
You had no idea, right? I
had no idea, but I knew that he could shoot. I didn't know the pro status, but the whole family played 1-on-1, 2-on-2 after every practice. Then Steph playing 1-on-1 with Vince. Then the first one make a half court shot. He's 10, 11 years old. If he making it then, you can see something gonna happen. You don't know how it's gonna happen.
For sure. Now, you were playing in the NBA Finals, if I'm not mistaken. It might have been the Eastern Conference Finals when the telebroadcast shut out and they cut to the O.J. Simpson car chase, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Now, did you guys have any idea? Did anybody tell you during the game, or was that something you found out way later?
Well, we basically, you can see people in the crowd, they can in a timeout, everybody was like moving around, talking to one another. But we basically found out until like after the game, but it was crazy. Stuff do happen. And that was big.
That was a world-shaking news moment, and it's just
crazy.
It felt like, just even watching it back, like Space Jam, where it would cut from reality to this dystopian situation. So it was definitely crazy and wild that you guys are playing. Now, when you were traded from New York to the Raptors, you had difficulty getting across the border. I didn't know this story. It sounded like in the book that you didn't care, like you cared, but you just went to stay in Buffalo and worked out. What was that like, getting traded to the team and then not being able to get into their country?
Well, I mean, I talk about this in the book, but it wasn't their fault. It was just something, in Canada, they real strict about going over the border. It was something on my behalf, but we got it straightened out. I did got a room, went to the gym, worked out. So the prime minister called and got me through. I mean, that's part of growing with life. But I was a veteran, so I was patient with it, and I just waited. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to jail nowhere, so I was cool with it.
That's funny. There's one story in the book that I wanted to be sure to ask you about. There was a MJ scrimmage and a junior LeBron who you and MJ knew that seemed like he was going to be a little bit of a big deal. So you invited him to this scrimmage. Was that the first time that you guys met, and that he also met MJ?
First time he met MJ, he's in Chicago with his family, his mom, his aunt. I mean, just his whole clique had their moms there. But Mav's mom was there, Rich Paul. I mean, so they travel like that. And, Tim Grover had the gym, and we always, come in, work out, then in strip, play for like an hour and a half. They was just in all. I think LeBron learned something from being there, because he saw that hard work pay off, and everybody just working on their game. And, when nobody taking it for granted, upcoming season, they were putting in the work, and, he hung around all day with us and just had a ball.
What did you and MJ think of his game? Did you think that he had the potential to make the immediate jump like he did?
No, he didn't play with us. He shot jumpers on the sideline. They didn't let him play though. But like I said, he watched and just shooting around, as most younger guys do. If you ain't playing the game, get a ball and shoot jumpers. And I know he probably wanted to get in action because he was big enough, physical enough. They just said, no, we just, wait a year or two till you, get a little older or whatever. Like they told me when I was young, the big boys in the playground, that's what I did when I was young. I went to the playground early just in case somebody came late. They let me play. But besides that, you had to wait till your turn.
You guys didn't want him to get injured, right? That was a big part of it too.
Just the guys, like I said, when I play pickup, I play like I play in basketball. So I didn't want him to come out there. If we went to hole, I mean, MJ, whoever, when you on the court and pick, I don't know nobody's name. So could have been LeBron with the basket. He probably would try to dunk. I'm definitely going to challenge it. I don't give up layups. So it could have been, I'm glad he didn't play, maybe be on the safe side.
Yeah. Now, speaking of your unique position, having relationships with both LeBron and MJ, I think the GOAT debate is ridiculous, but what are some of the biggest similarities you see between both LeBron and Michael?
One, just their physicality for, being great. Two is both of them move the needle in crowds and being in a room. I mean, they keep people around them and good people in a good way. They just great athletes. They're just two great guys. I hate the comparison, put them in, this and that all the time. but they just two genuinely great guys. So I can say that.
That's awesome. What do you want people to take away from this book after reading it?
The Last Enforcer, the consistency in the book and me, the people I've been around to help me grow through life, especially my grandfather gave me so much in strength and work habit and just, just the good stuff and I've been doing for people, helping people out charity wise, and what I've been doing, just being myself, being a strong individual, don't take nothing for granted, just work hard.
Do you have a favorite game from your NBA career personally?
I don't try to get into stats. I leave that to people who watch me or who go into look at the numbers. I think it's hard to say a person's game. I think the best thing was getting drafted. The next best thing was going to the finals. A third thing was, I think just, over the years, the fans who cheered for me, showed me love, and that's all I can say. The fans is really a part of my life. New York, Toronto, Chicago, all over the NBA. I never had a fan that really said nothing crazy to me. They just always said, keep working hard, so a lot of love.
Those are some incredible fan bases too, by the way, especially with how the NBA has expanded.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. I read at the end of the book that you, MJ, and some of these other guys still play sports against each other, whether it be tennis or golf.
Right.
Is that something you have to keep yourself in top shape for, just in case?
Well, I try to stay into. I think in the book, I don't know what I said about this, but when we retired, we were trying to find. Well, not find ourselves like what to do, but we just to stay active. We was like. One day I went to the sporting good. I told MJ I'm gonna buy some tennis rackets. So for about 2 or 3 months, we played tennis like 2 or 3 days a week. We were doing other stuff, always playing golf. Then we started playing like in Chicago had an inner city team, a traveling team, play other teams in other cities. So we started playing the neighborhood guys. We'd go to this place called Foster Park every Saturday morning. And I think it's 9 o'clock to 10:30. It's a running clock. So all the best celebrities in Chicago, not celebrities, all the ball players would come to Foster Park on 95th on the south side every Saturday morning and play ball. So then Sunday we would go to Stanley. It was like a place for breakfast, watch the Bears, or you'd go to the Bears game. So we were just doing stuff as to get the league first 2 or 3 years. And we had a ball, traveling a lot, the Bahamas, out the country. We just had a ball.
That's awesome. Well, for everybody else, I hope you buy and read The Last Enforcer by this man right here. Charles, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you again for writing this book, because I genuinely really enjoyed it and had a good time. It's a lot funnier than people might expect. And that was one of my favorite parts about it too. But congratulations on the book, and thank you again for coming on.
No, thank you. Thank you for reading, and keep pumping that book for me. I appreciate it.
I got you. All right, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you guys next time. Peace.